The Solo Show is brought to you, as always, by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney in the greater Orlando area with CelebratingFlorida.com and DisneyAtYourDoorstep.com.
I'm Realtor Victor Naraki, and I specialize in living near Disney World. I work directly with you. I'm not a referral agent. A referral agent takes your name, takes your number, and then sells you to a random agent for a stake in that commission. When you call me, you get me, and I am there for you from the initial consultation through to closing and all the steps in between. You get me. Now, if you want to reach me, visit DisneyAtYourDoorstep.com for all my links, and you will get me.
And when you do get Victor, tell him the Solo Show sent you.
Bored of your ordinary life?
Yes, sir.
Want to do something exciting?
Like what?
Join Wim, Fern, KB, Neil, and Jod.
It's me.
They call themselves Skeleton Crew. They've stumbled on something legendary, but they're not alone.
Follow me and watch where you step.
Join the adventure in Skeleton Crew on Disney+.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Solo Show. I am Stan Solo as always, and we got a packed Solo Studios today to talk about the final episode of Skeleton Crew, The Real Good Guys. And that's who we are, the real good guys. And we're here to talk about Skeleton Crew and go over all the things that you might have missed. We got a couple of celebrities with us today. We're going to start off with all the way from LA, California, straight off the set of the Skeleton Crew, Mr. Kevin Thompson. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. How are you today? And what are your thoughts on Skeleton Crew?
I'm glad that everybody likes it. When you're doing a project, you really don't know. You know, you think, well, we liked it. But I'm glad the audience has really embraced it and believes, it's one of the better shows that were out there. It's really nice.
Yeah, I'm getting messages pretty much every day now from somebody messaging me saying how much they're enjoying the show. It's a lot of fun. I'm watching it with my kids. I feel like a teenager again, or I feel like a kid again. It's brought the fun back to Star Wars. Tell us a little bit about what you did on the show.
Well, I was a dialogue coach to all the kids. I worked with Neo especially, but I worked with Wim, Fern, and KB. I was the go-ahead with others with my team. Because the kids are the main people, you can only use kids, as Eric knows, you can only use kids for a certain amount of time. And once their time is done, they have to go home. But they have to put in 3 hours of schooling in at that same time. So I would rehearse with the adults. I would break in the scenes with the adults. Then when the kids came back from learning about geography or algebra or whatever, I would fine-tune them back to where they were in the script. They would realize where they're at, get them any dialogue changes, remember where their blocking was, and because they're thinking about all sorts of different things like kids do, and even adults do, and you just track them back into where they were at that time of where that shot is. And then we would break the scene down for the next days after they've all left and the crew is left. We then rehearsed with the directors. I was the go-between between all 8 directors, well, actually 6, because John Watts and the other one, I forget his name, directed 2 episodes each. So yeah. We were the go-betweens for that.
That's super cool. I'm a huge Bryce Dallas Howard fan. I would love to work with her someday. I know I never will, but that'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
She's a nice gal. She likes her. She's an actress, and so she brings that acting anvil with her, and really gets the kids to bring out those performances. And it was really great.
Nice.
All the directors bring their own color or taste to the set, which is great.
That's awesome.
Well, Kevin, hearing your description of what you did on the show, you did a fantastic job. Really great. Those kids are awesome. And hearing that that's what you were doing with them, wow.
Yeah. Well, the kids made or break this show.
Yes.
If you didn't like them, we wouldn't like the show. And we love them all. Also joining us today is Mr. Eric Walker. Welcome back to the show. You promised us you'd come back for another roundtable discussion, and here you are. You didn't break your promise.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back again, Stan. Yeah.
So we're rounding up Skeleton Crew. What do you think of this episode and the series as a whole?
It was great. It made you feel like a kid again. It's one of those shows like Goonies versus Star Wars versus, Indiana Jones, and it had a lot of, the thing about the show for me, looking at it, since I also delved in filmmaking, is it's really shot well. The music's good. All of it all together was just put together good. And it kind of reminded me too, and this is like it's not like this, but remember Back to the Future back in the 80s when you used to go and want to watch it 10 times because you would see something else, like when at first it was called Twin Pines Mall, then later it was called Lone Pine Mall after Marty in the 60s knocked over one of the Twin Pines. So I think Skeleton Crew is going to be like that. We're going to have to watch it over and over again to catch the Easter eggs, to catch the great stuff they have. Obviously, the life monitor was something they brought that was obvious, but be a lot of little things that that we're going to want to see and catch.
Yeah, I was pointing out the life monitor when it happened on the on the 2 episodes that they appeared in.
For sure. And there's, you got to keep watching it. In the spaceport. You saw the original Millennium Falcon in there. We talked about that last time. So just lots of great stuff.
So many cool things. We would want to go into, we'll get into the spoiler parts with the stuff for this week. We'll go around the table with our regular band of brothers and sister in the order they arrived to the Solo Studio. So we're going to start off with Jedi Scott today. How are you today? And what were your thoughts of the Real Good Guys?
I'm doing good. I loved it. It's such a great series. The final episode tied some loose ends up and gave us some explanations, but overall, it was great. Sad to see it be over with.
Yeah. It was a little bit longer episode, which I loved. That was nice to see. We were kind of hoping it was going to be a bit longer. Also joining us from the Grand Circle Tour podcast, Food Fairy Kris. Welcome aboard. And what are your thoughts on the final episode?
Oh my goodness. It just like Scott said, it really tied everything together. But the whole series as a whole was absolutely thrilling. The special effects were fabulous. And I really, really enjoyed this. I'm sorry that it's over.
Yeah, for sure. And then Patrick was the last one in today. What are your thoughts on the Real Good Guys? And did it answer all your questions that we had last week?
No, it didn't answer all my questions. It actually gave me new questions. And we can get into that in the spoilers. I loved the episode. I think it, as everyone said, it tied a lot of things off, which was fantastic, but it also brought up a lot of other deeper questions that the nerd wants to know. The nerd in me wants to know.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do that, I'm going to go back to Kevin, and we're going to talk a little bit about his book, Journey to Endor. Can you, it was written by your wife, and it's the story of, you tell us about it.
It takes me, I was a big Star Wars fan. I didn't want to be. I was a reluctant Star Wars fan because I didn't want to go see Star Wars in 1977 with my friends. And they all said, let's go. So I want to stand in line. Come on, can we just wait? Once the whole thing started, I was immediately hooked. And so, in fact, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, I stood up and said, "It's not over." And all the friends were looking.
That's what we said at the end of Skeleton Crew.
Oh my God. We are not with him, it's like, and so I was a big nerd. And so when I tried out they were looking for little people for the Ewoks. And I was, first they were looking for stunt guys. And so I tried out for that. And luckily enough, I was one of the few chosen ones. I was the youngest of the 4 stuntmen to go to London, England. And so it starts with all that of how my childhood, bringing it up, and takes you right to the set of Return of the Jedi, of how I was in London and the British Ewoks didn't like me because they wanted to do the stunts. And it was like, it wasn't that they didn't like me. They were jealous because we were, I was picked to do the stunts, and hey, they all wanted to do the stunts. But once they realized that we were real stuntmen, then they were like, oh, okay, and it's being done in California, and you guys are all from California, so yeah, okay, we get it. And then 2 of the guys took off, so I became the number 2 stuntman. But in the outfit, I was I was much better than the other guys, so I became the number one stuntman on Return of the Jedi, and it's all the craziness of just something simple of jumping off. A lot of things of doing stunts as a Ewok is get on your kitchen chair, stand up, close your eyes, and jump off.
Because you can't see anything.
You can't see anything. You don't know when you're going to land, and you kind of know where you're going to land, but you don't know when you're going to land. Now times that by 10 feet. Of doing that and swinging out through the trees 40 feet in the air and chopping a rope on a tree hanging by your legs 40 feet in the air, being blown up by explosions of 6-inch mortars behind you, jumping on a mini tramp. It's all the ways that I was doing these things, risking my life every day and loving it. And loving it. Just playing Army with real stuff, not real bullets, but close enough. We did have pieces of redwood tree that were, at least 10 feet long, landing right next to me at times. So it's an exciting book. My wife really captures the emotions. I was not able to. I could write it. Writing a book is very tough. I thought I could do it. I was wrong because my wife kind of goes, "You sound very arrogant," and you don't. And she goes, "And you weren't arrogant. You were scared." And I was like, "No, I wasn't." And it's like, "I was Mr. Testosterone." And it's like, "No, you're not."
Yeah, the book is wonderful.
Check
it out.
More of that character because she knows me much better than I know myself.
Yeah,
and she brought that out in the book.
Yeah, the book is incredible. It's available on Amazon.
Thank you.
Places like that. I got the Kindle version. I really enjoyed the stories that you told about the playing basketball as a little person and traveling all across America. Those were some of my favorite stories.
The Hollywood Shorties. And there was quite a few members of the Hollywood Shorties on who were Ewoks. Tony Cox, who did the whole speeder bike chase, and is Whittle in the Ewok movies. He's also in Me, Myself, and Irene and Bad Santa. Very, very fine actor, but he had a shot that he could make from half court, and he's only 3'6", and he could make it consistently, and it was really something else. Eric, did we take you up and play basketball with you?
Of course you did, and you beat us.
You were amazed when you were like, how'd that little guy make that shot?
Yeah, that's true. Tony Cox used to say to me, "That boy can't play no basketball."
And he's knee high to a nickel.
Yeah.
It was something else. We traveled all over the place. We were like Harlem Globetrotters, only just a little bit shorter. The only rule change, we played on a 10-foot basket. The only rule change was the other team had to wait for the ball to bounce before they could grab the rebound. We could get it anytime we want. So that was the only rule change.
That's
and
right.
We had gags much like the Harlem Globetrotters, and we would score 100 points. But where the Hollywood Shorties, we would play against brand new teams every week. The Harlem Globetrotters have the Washington Generals, who they spend a month going over all the acts of all the skits and everything like that. So we would go the acts and the skits 10 minutes before the game. Yeah. Sometimes they'd work, sometimes they didn't.
Yeah, it's actually a little movie about the Hollywood Shorties.
Yes, there's a documentary out there called The Hollywood Shorties.
Yeah, check it out if you can. It's absolutely amazing. All right, we're going to hear from our sponsor. Then we're going to come back with spoilers, the part that everybody's waiting for.
Yes. You, from the makers of Finding Nemo fish sticks. Do you need a quick homemade meal but don't have the time? The right answer should be Hot Pockets. That's right, you loved them as a kid and now you can share them with your family. Hot Pockets. Just like Wen and Wendell enjoyed on Skeleton Crew.
I like mine lukewarm.
Available in Tauntaun and Pepperoni, Cheese and Tauntaun, and the ever-popular Bacon and Tauntaun. Available now in your grocer's frozen food department, of course.
You can savor the flavor.
Hot Pockets, get yours today.
All righty, and we're back. I'm going to get some hot pockets right after I'm done this.
What is Star Wars bacon?
It would be Ronto, actually. Says the nerd.
All righty. So let's get right into the spoiler section here of the final episode. Last week we ended with Jod lighting his lightsaber and we faded to black. This week we come back exactly at the exact same spot where we start off in black. We get the sound effect of the lightsaber, and then we get the picture afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So Neil's mom asks Jod, how can we thank you? Like, of course they're thinking that Jod's a hero for bringing the kids back. And he's really playing the part of the hero at this point.
He's going to try to ride it as long as he can. I think like the plan is, all right, let's go as long as I can. I think he just wanted to meet the supervisor. I don't think anyone in the story anticipated that the supervisor was a droid. I think we may have thought that because of how it was working, but I think he was genuinely surprised when that happened. So I think he was going to ride that plan out until he could meet the supervisor and take it over.
Mm-hmm. I think Jod was more surprised than any of us six that it was a droid.
Yeah.
Eric, you knew it was a droid before you saw it was a droid.
No, I didn't. No.
You didn't think it was a droid?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh.
I worked on the show, and I didn't know it was a droid till it was a droid.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
And the supervisor's voice didn't kind of sound like a droid. It didn't. Like Anthony Daniels or all the other droids. So
yeah, we all just assumed it was a droid. We were all kind of convinced. I'd be shocked if it wasn't at that before this episode even. So the parents say the kids are in big trouble, and Jod says, yeah, they were troublesome. They need to be confined to their quarters and watched over by the safety droids. He's playing his cards really well at this point. I thought he was he pushed it a bit too far, because I think if he would have just got the kids out of the way and had at this point and loaded up as quickly as he could and got off there, he would have been better off.
Well, I think we talked about it last week. I think he just got greedy. He wanted it all.
Yeah.
That's too impractical at that point, to take all the, how many vaults did he have?
1,189.
38 or something
39.
like that?
Yeah. Yeah. He wanted every vault of them.
It's kind of like how my wife always talks about, Tracy always says, if they would have stopped at one bank, they would have got away.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, I thought was kind of interesting was at this point, if we go back to the first episode when Fern was out with her school friends, she wore her jacket inside out. Mm-hmm. And before she came home, we saw her flip her jacket right side back in. Her mom never even saw her before with her jacket inside out, because she sewed those patches and all that on the inside of her jacket. Her mom never said anything about her school jacket being inside out and having.
Well, I think her mom was just so excited to see their kid back alive.
Yeah, I thought it'd been kind of funny. She just looked down and said, "Why is your jacket inside out?" It would have been a nice little thing to add. So Jod wants Fern to accompany him to the supervisor, and Farah, Fern's mom, says she should accompany them, and that's when we get the Skeleton Crew logo. Great intro. Mm-hmm. I think all six of us were hooked at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we cut to Wendell's and Wim's house, where Wendell's microwaving some Hoth pockets. Saying there's nothing like a home cooked meal.
Yeah. It's a single dad.
Yeah, single dad with the microwave. Yeah, bet you missed these home cooked meals, son?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Wendell mentions that Wim still has to take the assessment, and Wim says it doesn't matter anymore. There's more to the universe. Like, he's been out there now. He's I think, what's Wim's situation right now? Does he want to continue going off planet? Like, he seems scared off planet, but and he was homesick.
Oh no,
what do you
not
think,
at all.
Kevin?
Yeah,
he didn't want the adventure to end.
Yeah.
He didn't want the adventure to end at all. He missed it. He thought it was going to be much more like a Davy Crockett, type of thing. He didn't get that, people were dying around him, but he didn't want the adventure to end. You thought he was homesick and he wanted to get home?
Well, there was times when he was like almost sad that they were, I guess during the down times he was sad, and he was kind of like, well, we're going home. And he said he missed his dad, he missed his mom. And then Jod says, you'll see them again. He goes, well, I won't see my mom again when they were in the ship, that one scene. So to me, that sounds like he's homesick, saying, I miss my dad, I miss my mom, Yeah,
well, by the end of the episode, I could see like the glint in his eyes when he was seeing those X-Wings.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Wim is going to go join up for sure.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
He will be Poe.
Yeah.
So Wendell gets upset with him and goes, "How are you going to be part of the great work if you don't do your assessment?" And he says the great work doesn't matter. He says there's more to the galaxy than the great work.
Mm-hmm.
Wen wants to tell his dad what's going on, but he can't. He has that safety droid watching over him the whole time.
I love that part when he had the safety droid was in there and he goes, "Who are you talking to?" And he jumps up and he grabs those two toys and just starts playing with them.
That was a great cover.
Yeah,
as kids do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, we said that in the first episode how Wim is the biggest Star Wars fan in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Ever. He loves Star Wars and he's in Star Wars. He loves the action figures. He loves the ships. He loves the Jedi. That's, he's a big Star Wars fan.
Yep.
So he tries to talk to his dad in code and his dad's not understanding him at all. He's saying there's certain people out there trying to ruin what we have. And Wendell's just like, well, that's what the supervisor's there to deal with. That's nothing to do with us. The supervisor will take care of it. And Wendell's like, no, there's there's people on this planet that we have to be worried about.
Spoken like a true accountant.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So Wim goes to his room and using his walkie-talkie, he calls Neil. That's when the safety droid comes in. He starts playing with his action figures. So meanwhile, Fern, Farah, and Jod are taking that incredibly long elevator ride to the top of the supervisor's tower. And they get to the top of the supervisor's area and it's completely covered in dust. There's chairs there so was this originally supposed to be manned, or is it I don't understand why there's even chairs in there.
Maybe when it first, this is hundreds of years old, thousands of years old. So before the droids were there, they realized that droids have replaced the man and are much more
efficient
than man or woman manning that, and much more trustworthy.
Yeah, and less emotional than people can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is where the beginning of my questions starts. Are each of these hidden planets that they all start out the same and then end up over time evolving differently? Did at Akron discover that it was a droid earlier and then they just went nuts and started fighting each other, or was it completry different? You get what I'm saying? Was each one I want to know now.
Yeah. The more questions the more questions that were answered, the more questions we have.
I got the impression that Fern's mom knew the supervisor was a droid.
Oh yeah,
the parents knew that they were droids.
Of course she did, and even Wim's dad does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, Eric, what did you think?
I agree. I think that they knew for sure, and it does have more questions. There was an episode I think of The Mandalorian where that whole world had droids taking care of them or something like that as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they discovered that maybe they were similar and they discovered that droids will help them. They didn't know how to do anything, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Right.
But when they were recording their little things for the transmitter, and his dad, one of the things that Wim's dad said was, you weren't supposed to find out about any of this until you graduated. And I think that is part of what they weren't supposed to find out about until they were older. So
yeah, good
exactly.
catch.
Yeah.
Right. They learned about the birds and the bees just a little too soon.
So we find out that it's a droid, and I thought this was a really cool droid. First of all, it's the size of a room, which kind of harkens back to the ancient computers being kids go back and look at how big computers used to be. They were the size of a room at one point, with all sorts of things.
He looked, the supervisor looked very HAL 3000 too.
Well, to me, he looked almost astromech. He reminded me of R2D2 a lot.
Yeah, with the dome part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Of
and the single eye that could flip between red and blue, and then those little LED lights on the side. That, to me, I saw R2D2 or an astromech droid.
Wouldn't it have been cool if after he killed the supervisor, one of those droids that I forgot the name of them, that Work on Droids comes out and was really that little Anzelian or whatever controlling it all.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah. But they both the producers, writers, creators are very big Star Wars fan, growing up in the Star Wars universe, and they were very keen to all these new, and I mean not new, but like Easter eggs, and taking like what you guys have said, go back and watch it again, try to catch those Easter eggs, like you were saying, Eric. And I think these are those things that they like that fans do. The more questions answered, the more questions asked.
Yeah.
What did happen over on Akarine? Well, why are they fighting? Is this like all of a sudden they kind of gave it a Middle East turf war type of thing? They kind of didn't even know why they were fighting. They were just fighting.
Yeah, do you think maybe those other planets had revolt against the droids?
It could have. That's a question for the creator, and we're just I'm just a worker.
Yeah.
I'm just part of the the work.
So
the great work.
The great work.
The great work.
The great work. Did they mention that on the set ever, that you guys are doing the great work here?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Be happy that you're working and you're getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Hollywood shut down. We were one of the few shows that were working at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but there's not really a lot of work in. It's coming back, but if you're working, great. If you're not working,
keep looking.
You're waiting tables if you're not working.
You're doing something.
Yeah, I mean, one of the many people that I met when I went on Star Cruiser is one of the head hairdressers with you guys over at Lucasfilm. She was on the Ahsoka show. She was the head hairdresser. Well, when everything got shut down, she all of a sudden got on the Facebook groups, the Star Cruiser Facebook group, saying, "Hey, anybody need a hairpiece? I can make them."
Oh, yeah.
So you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So the supervisor droid recognizes Fern and Farah immediately, but says, "I don't recognize this person." He introduces himself as John Wood, emissary and Jedi, and the supervisor says that she's beginning to doubt an emissary would ever show up. And she kind of questions, how can you be an emissary and a Jedi? Because we were told that Jedis were traitors. And it's kind of, now, Patrick, go ahead.
This is where I have more questions.
Okay.
So the last transmission we got from the Republic was that all the Jedi were traitors. That's the last time you heard from the Republic.
Mm-hmm.
That's Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
So did something happen in that the Empire, for some reason, didn't know about it because of how it was hidden and how it was created? Or did Palpatine know about it? Like, now I have more questions.
Well,
from a single line.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that the Empire did not know about At.
Same.
About the At planets.
Yeah, same.
Which is weird because all the pirates knew about it. Like, how does the Empire not know about it?
It's one of those things of lore.
Yeah.
Davy Jones's locker.
Yeah.
Type of things of the Flying Dutchman. All those types of lore type of things. The land of milk and honey. It's just lore. Wait a minute, it really exists? Whoa. When he throws down the credit, that's when they first go, what is this? And then with one of the things in that first episode or second episode, when they go to that cantina or the bar, the thing, it's like he sits there and he gets one and he's like, well, give me more. It's if that's so valuable, he's looking for more. But what that shows is that all these guys are, one is not enough. I want it all, which goes back to Jod, the last episode, wanting it all.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 of these types of mills here, or
vaults.
The vaults. And I want it all. You can't carry it all, but it's that whole thing of, I'm going to carry it and die trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Fern shouts out at this point, he's a pirate. He's trying to invade the Mint. And the supervisor says, just as I suspected. And all heck breaks loose at that point. The droids try to attack Jod. And he shoves his lightsaber very Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn-like. Into the supervisor's oversized eye, shutting down the droids of all power to At. And all the electric cars don't work, all the electric trains don't work, all the droids don't work. Which is...
Now, did you guys miss that there's not more shots of extras going, hey, what's going on? Because it seems so
sparse.
Mm-hmm.
It seems
Yeah.
very sparsely
Everybody,
populated.
when that happens, everybody walks outside, goes, "Hey, what's going on? Let's talk to our neighbor." There's nobody there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody outside.
Yeah.
That was kind of a moment.
Well, even Wendell stays inside. He just looks out the window and goes, "Oh, looks like it's the whole block that is out."
Mm-hmm.
Not realizing it's the entire
Yeah.
city.
But usually people, I don't know about you in your neighborhood, but you walk outside, it's like, "Hey, is your power out?" You walk outside.
Yeah.
You live in this great planet that there is no crime, so you're not thinking that you're going to get mugged.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too cold to walk out here when the power goes out.
Yeah, you got to stay in where it's warm, right, Stan?
Yeah. But my electric car still works when the power goes out. It doesn't shut down.
Their battery powered stuff just sucks.
Must be Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi powered or something.
Must be.
When the Wi-Fi's gone,
They
that's
don't want the
nothing.
lithium batteries.
So Jod convinces Farah to lower the defense grid, allowing the frigate and the invasion on At-Aten.
That scene of the ship descending into At-Aten's atmosphere, and that shot is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That was really great.
Yeah. I have to say, for all the complaints that I had about last week's effects, this one totally outdid it.
It made up for everything, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's where the budget went, was to the effects instead of having the extras go out in the street.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, that's one thing I did look up a little while ago is the overall budget of Skeleton Crew versus some of these other shows that we've had recently, and it's significantly less on Skeleton Crew. But I feel like I'm getting more enjoyment out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Which George Lucas always said, you don't need to spend a lot of money to create a good movie.
Well, okay, I don't know the answer to this. Maybe Eric or Kevin, you guys are in the business much more than I am. I watch it, watch what you guys do. What would cost more? So Mama Crab tetanus in stop motion from Tippett Studios, or a CG effect? Which would cost more?
It's a good question. Well, back when they did stop motion, people were getting paid less probably than what they get paid now. And they have more artists doing the CGI work. So I would think the CGI would cost more.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Eric. I think Eric's right on that. It was a lot of people you look at stop motion now, and like that fight scene in the first Ewok movie, Caravan of Courage, a lot of people are looking at it going, how come it doesn't flow? Because it is stop motion. It's Phil Tippett doing that the monster, what was the dog's name?
It was Boar Wolf or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And it's, whereas with the CGI, you had 150 visual effects artists for a year and a half.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering is like, we spend all this money on visual effects, but when we, the fans, are talking about it, we're like, oh man, that stop motion looks so good, and it costs so much less. It brings us so much more joy. So why do we even do it?
Well, it also was the CGI characters like Jar Jar Binks. The fans really turned on that. He played it exactly the way that George wanted him to play it, but people just didn't like that CGI character, and they are enjoying, the way that what was the wolf character's name? That goes back
Brutus.
to Brutus.
Yeah.
Brutus is, goes way back to just, puppetry effects. And
Practical effects, yeah.
No, that is practical effects. And I haven't heard one bad thing about it. When I watched it on set, I was like, wow, really? We're going to do this? Okay. And everybody loves it. So,
well, I mean, really good puppetry is really convincing.
These guys are all done by it's the Legacy Studios that built everything, and doing that for Mandalorian and all the other ones.
I probably talk about Star Cruiser too much, but I went on it 4 times, and it wasn't until the 3rd time I went on it did I notice the puppeteer driving the R unit. It took me that many hours on board to finally be able to take a step back and notice that there was someone just enjoying being the puppeteer right there in the crowd with everybody, but they're just so good at their jobs that, yeah. So anyway.
The big remote control with the antenna and the flag on top didn't set you off?
No, it's a guy in relatively plain clothes, standing just off to the side, a little bit behind, just driving it around. Yeah.
So when Win realizes that the droids are out of commission, he's finally able to talk to his dad about what's going on and just kind of shoves over the droid.
I love that. Goes, Dad, look! He just shoves the droid.
Oh,
the dad. What are you doing?
That bike scene where they all get on the bikes and go. That was so great. Wendell got to have his woohoo moment.
Wendell is a teenager. All of a sudden, he's got a cool dad.
Yeah.
That's right. I like that. I like that. Wendell was the cool dad.
Yeah. I mean, his hero line is, of course, oh, we need to do this. Dad, can you do it? Son, I'm a level 7 systems coordinator. And like that was the end.
A question they did have while they're on the bikes, though, is KB uses her headset to contact her mums and tells her mums to stay hidden because the pirates are now coming into the atmosphere and they're blasting everything around them. So the mums hear KB give this announcement to them. They don't have a phone. They don't have an earpiece. They don't have a mod that I can see. Where is it coming through the Alexa device in the corner of the room? Like, how are they getting this message from KB?
Wasn't it come from their bracelets?
I think it was the bracelet. Yeah,
a live monitor.
Yeah,
Eric, live monitors don't work like that, do they?
Not on our time.
It's
modern
just one
technology.
Of those things.
Yeah.
Well, I did think it was ironic, of course, that KB says, "Hey, stay hidden," and they go to the window to look at the pirates.
And they're coming in.
Well, maybe they never got the message. Maybe she was just talking to nobody when she was doing that.
Also, every time they cut to her, the live monitor, it had a red light on. Well, when in our time, when you had the red light on, I mean, you were dead or you were injured.
Yeah. I did catch that also as well.
Well, that's why she had those funky things that Wim put in on that one planet of just a bunch of wires and screwed it back into her head.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she's going, it's kind of, she's running on some weird DC power here.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Like I need a new battery for my smoke detector. Anybody got some wires and a torch?
Okay, we're good.
I thought that whole scene was amazing, though, with the pirates going through and then all the little, I guess they're like boats of the ships, like the pirate fighters coming off.
We did have more scenes of the extras and stunt people fighting with the pirates.
Oh.
And I guess the executives in charge wanted them to be much more docile and not do that. We had a big scene where Neil's father really kicks ass and they try and come in and attack his family, and he just takes on about like 4 of them and it just makes them all mincemeat.
Wow.
And I was waiting for that scene of going,
I wish they would have left
I
that
was waiting
in
for that
there.
scene.
yeah, that would have been a great scene, but they cut that out for time probably.
Because he looks like such a hulking man.
Well,
It's
in that
like,
one scene when he
don't
is
mess
being
with
marched,
my
in that one scene when he is being marched through, it is sort of seen in blocks so that he's the, like, I don't know, intimidating sort of character that probably would have been after he would have already done that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He couldn't beat them all.
Yeah. So the kids get to the Onyx Cinder, and there's a parking boot on it that we saw happen last week. So they need to get the power back on, and so that's when Wendell and his dad decide to go to the supervisor tower to try to turn the tower power back on. So KB is on the Onyx Cinder. Wen and Wendell are heading up to the supervisor tower. Meanwhile, Neil is heading to the school to break out that super laser that we were all waiting to see.
Yeah, he had a scene with it was a girlfriend in him at the time doing it, and they cut the girlfriend out completely.
Really?
Yeah. The girl with the alien with the star looking in the very first scene that she had.
The one he liked,
Yeah, the one
she was there, but she wasn't there.
See, I think it's better without her there because he still had the crush on the girl at Akron.
Right.
Even though he did mention her in the first episode, it was kind of he liked every girl that went past him. Let's face it, he was a lover, not a fighter. You know,
everyone that said hi to him.
Yeah.
Hey,
I forgot to mention, Neil was back in his bathtub in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, he was.
he had his tub with his bubbles. Yeah, give the kid a rubber ducky or something. Come on.
Yeah. He goes from rubber ducky to blasting the pirate ship.
Yeah.
You know, what a arc for a character.
Yeah. I love how this is the second time this happened now, where Fern is coming up with this brilliant plan. The first time was last week, where she was saying like we'll make this like Jod loves money, we'll play on his greed, and then Wen just goes and runs straight into the pirates, screaming attack. So now this week, Fern is making the plan with her mom, saying you create a distraction, and I'll go get the lever. She comes up with these great plans, but she's never had an opportunity yet to have them follow through, because Jod hears them making this plan and, you know, kind of fires a warning shot telling him to stop scheming. Come on, you guys, you know. Then so Jod turns over to the PA system, makes an announcement. Citizens of Atan, I've taken control. If you follow my orders, my men will show you mercy. If you defy me, punishment will be severe. You all now work for me. So is this his end game, is to rule the planet at this point now?
I'm kind of thinking that.
Yeah, I think so. I think his end game is not only does he want the 1,139 vaults, he says it later, he wants everyone to keep doing their jobs because he wants to continue printing more money. He doesn't want, for Jod, his ultimate flaw, as we've said, is that he can't get enough. He can't have just one ship full. He's got to have all the vaults. Oh, wait, I could have everyone work for me and I could have unlimited amounts. Oh, I must have that instead. That's his ultimate flaw.
Yeah. Eric, you agree?
Yeah. He wants to be bigger than the Pike Syndicate. He wants to be bigger than the Hutts. He wants to be the biggest pirate, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and that character, it certainly went a different way than a lot of people thought it was going to go. People were speculating, well, maybe he was in the temple when Anakin, and got saved, like as a youngling, and then turns out he wasn't. There has to be a reason why he's so evil. He definitely is not a Jedi. That's for sure.
No. Well, I think Jod is Ezra without someone guiding him from a moral standpoint.
Good point. Yeah, definitely.
I think a lot of the his issues stem from his childhood and seeing the Jedi that was taking care of him be slaughtered or murdered. And I think a lot of his anger stems from that influence too. That's kind of what I keep seeing in his face.
Yeah, he was very sad about it.
Yeah.
Scott?
Well, then you jump forward a little bit. When KB's ship crashed, he said, I didn't want to see no one hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So he has that moral dilemma going on with himself.
True.
Yeah. So the elevator opens up and Wim is standing in the elevator alone. His dad's kind of hiding around the corner, which is a great way to do it. When walks in and telling him this amazing story about how I was able to communicate to the X-Wings and they're going to come and the real good guys are going to come and get you. And then they start talking. He says, well, how are you able to do this? He starts this whole elaborate story of the crystal of the founders we found that allows us to communicate. And Jod doesn't buy it.
But he has children. They come up with these stories quite quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant because it allowed Wendell time to sneak in and get the power turned back on, which allowed KB to take off. So the pirates...
I think too that Jod knew he was lying because he brought up the Jedi, and he knows what happened to the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that point, I think he knew it was a trap and he was lying.
Yeah. So the pirates are just about to shoot down KB when Neil shoots his big gun from the roof of the school, which was the moment I think the three of us or the four of us were waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that throughout this whole series after we saw it at Akron, that this better pay off on At-Atten.
Oh, yeah.
Big gun. Yeah. So the pirates turn around to make short work of the big gun, and Neil runs away. So KB and 33 escape the planet, and they contact Kim. I guess.
Yeah, you forgot to mention that Smee is still alive. KB connected some wires, and he's holding his own head.
Yeah.
Yeah. KB was able to
You got that, Smee. Glad you did.
Oh, yeah.
Them 33.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, first episode we were calling him Smee. So I guess Kim did give KB her cell phone number or email or text number or something. Yeah, because we talked about that. She said you can contact me anytime you want, but she never said, "Here's my number." Here's my. It was never said how to contact.
She just remembers everything. She's got a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but they still had Bluetooth.
Yeah. It was a Bluetooth connection. As she's talking with Kim, KB gets hit by a fighter pilot, and she starts going down. We kind of talked about that already, about the ship coming down. You see her crash land, but there really is no explosion, so I didn't buy it that she was dead at this point. Mm-hmm. Anyone else buy it that she was dead? I don't think anybody did. No, everyone's shaking their head no.
Nope.
And there's this really convenient lever in the middle of the room, of the supervisor's tower. When you pull it, it destroys the barrier.
Yeah.
And it's a big, huge lever that, I mean, it's very tempting to pull this lever if you're just visiting.
It's a big red button.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
And that's why there's only droids there. And if you realize, Jod never liked droids because he couldn't control them. Remember the very first time we meet him, he goes, it's droids.
Yeah.
He's got a distaste for droids the whole time. He can't control them as a Jedi. He's not that strong. He can do parlor trick, but he doesn't have that mind control.
Yeah.
He never learned that before his Jedi Master was killed.
Yeah, I know, I agree, and he never got along with Smee ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought there'd be more security features being up in that tower, even before when Jod stuck his lightsaber and the red eye and all that. I just thought there'd be more security being up there, since that's the off switch, and it's easy to kill the supervisor and this and that. I would thought like that supervisor would have some lasers mounted on itself besides a 4 or 5 droids.
It's a very peaceful planet, and it's
true.
It's basically Marin County of like, we're all here for peace, love, but we make a lot of money.
Right.
I don't know.
And when you have like an Iron Dome sort of system to keep everything out, you're probably not planning for someone to be like right up against you. They shouldn't be there to begin with.
Yeah,
exactly.
But when you have that lever in the middle of the room, anybody can just pull and shut off that Iron Dome.
Yeah.
You walk up there, hey, what's this for?
Yeah. What does this do? Is this the light switch?
True.
Yeah. So Wen wants to pull the handle, but Jod has the lightsaber aimed at his dad. Now he has to choose between saving the planet or saving his dad. And his dad says, don't do it, or whatever. And he runs to his dad. This is when Jod tells the whole story we kind of talked about already, about him being raised by a Jedi as opposed to being trained as a Jedi. He learned a few tricks, enough to get by.
When he watched that Jedi be hunted down by what we have to assume would be Inquisitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, he probably couldn't get trained too much because they didn't want to be found.
Right.
So it's probably on the lowdown.
Yeah. Wendell takes a swipe at Jod and clocks him pretty good at this point. And, sends him flying. Says maybe he should have been wearing a goofy helmet and he wouldn't have. And then Jod and Wendell kind of battle it out, with Wendell trying to pull the lever. Fern is helping Wen keep the lightsaber away from Jod. Jod's using the Force to try to get the lightsaber. Meanwhile, Wen and Fern are pulling on it, and Wendell's trying to pull the lever, and Jod's pulling on him. And Farrah's kind of just watching. And Fern is yelling at her mom, "Help him! Pull the lever! Do it, Mom! Do it!" And so finally she gets up and she pulls the lever, and that destroys the barrier, allowing the X-wings to get in. Intense, exciting, poor.
Very.
I thought it was I thought it was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it was great.
A lot of action. Loved seeing the X-Wings come in. And no, I was not that X-Wing pilot. It was not Mace. I'm just joking.
Everybody everybody liked the B-Wings.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The B-Wings were awesome.
That's the first time we saw B-Wings in live action use the weaponry in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
I really liked the part when Wim had the lightsaber, though, and he turned it on, and he was finally holding that thing the right way.
Right.
We double checked too.
You could just tell how thrilled he was. That facial expression that young boy had, it was absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, on the sets, Kevin, did they actually light up, or were they just sticks that they drew it in later?
They did have one that actually lit up because now they do have those. But no, it's a post production look, but they do have it on as long as it is, and it's more green so that they can make it look so for the post production.
Have you gotten to see one of the extending ones? I'm sorry, Eric. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Have you seen one of the extending ones that they've advertised? Do they use those on sets at all?
Just a green, the handle. Okay. The lightsaber handle and a green tube that comes out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
because his reaction was wonderful, like Kris was saying earlier. So
Robbie, when he got it, they showed him the one that what it would look like, so that he can get that action, that reaction. John Watts let him hold it, and it did it. So he got that. It's like, remember that now. Remember that excitement of what you just saw it. And so he had to remember and react to when he is doing it and goes, all right.
Well, he remembered.
Yeah.
He did. It was fabulous.
He was brilliant with that. And we kind of talked about this already. Plus the Rebel blockade runner flying through was
Corvette.
Cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool to see. Absolutely. And then, of course, Wendell looking up and seeing these X-Wing fighters, darn well what he wants to be when he grows up.
Yeah.
Yep.
You mean Wim?
Wim.
Sorry, Wim. Yeah, Wim looks up and sees that.
Neil's going to be an accountant.
Yeah. Yeah. He had fun, but there was people dying his life was in jeopardy all the time, and
that was too much excitement for him.
Yeah. Give him his bubble bath, and he's happy.
Yeah.
with his 4 kids, or his 4 things. And they fade to black at the end of the series. What happens now?
I have more questions.
Well, we did it 2 years ago, so the kids have grown quite a bit. Much like Eric, you remember just how much you grew during Caravan of Courage from the beginning, to the reshoots. You had grown a good 6 inches.
Quite a lot. They had to redo my costume because I got
right.
That was when I had my growth spurt.
Exactly. And those kids are about your age when, because that's the perfect age for,
14,
anything like that type of area. And that's when kids get those growth spurts. The Fern had grown quite a bit from the first episode to the last episode, whereas Robbie hadn't really. Robbie grew a little bit, but Fern really, she had the biggest growth spurt.
Mm-hmm. So, Jod's still alive.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Do you change it and put 4 other kids, and you still keep that other thing like Menudo? You always just have these these high-voiced Latina singers, and you just plug them in and out and keep the group going.
Well,
or do you have them do another adventure?
I have a theory about what all that money is going to be used for, and no matter really where they go, I think they could use the same actors. Just whatever the time gap is, just make that the real time gap. If it's been 4 years since we've seen them, just make it a 5-year gap in time. Make it, what would that be? 13? 13 ABY. Or no, sorry. Yeah.
15. So now all of a sudden we're having teenage angst and hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would like to see the characters come back because you're invested in them now. You want to see him again.
Right.
Yeah. We played that little intro that we do every week. And the first week we had no clue who these kids were. Here we are 7 weeks later, and we all want to see them again. We all care about them. We all, we're invested in them now.
Yeah.
Now we do, instead of Goonies, we do American Graffiti.
Yeah. Yeah. But the question now, though, is what happens to Aten? There's no more defense system. They're basically a defensive planet, and they're probably one of the richest planets.
Well,
that's not a good mix.
No, but I think the New Republic needs to sit there and have to babysit it.
Yeah.
You know, especially knowing how much that planet has all that money.
Mm-hmm.
Are someone going to get in there to kind of control it and secretly fund the New Order?
Well, that's the question. What happens to the money? What happens to Jod? Jod's still alive.
Exactly.
He's standing there in the final episode, in the final scene, kind of watching things collapse around him.
Well, that's what I think.
Different versions. One version we killed him off. One version we take him to prison. The version they used was he's still there. Everybody leaves.
Yeah. So he's got 11,039 volts to empty. Still.
Yeah,
the problem is he doesn't have a ship to get off the planet anymore.
Right.
Well, but he doesn't need any particular ship. He can have any ship.
But he doesn't have a ship.
Yeah, he's a pirate. He can stow away.
I was surprised with the Onyx Cinder how much gold they got put in there in that short period of time.
I know.
Yeah. Droids are very efficient. They work quick, slow and steady. They were loading it pretty good. Anyways, I think we all agree. We all love this show.
Yep.
Patrick, any more questions for Kevin before we wrap this up?
Yes, but I don't need to keep him any longer.
No,
I appreciate.
I'm here.
Oh, well, okay. you twisted my arm. This past year at San Diego Comic-Con, one of the panels I went to was one with Craig Miller, who was Lucasfilm's original director of fan relations. Did you ever get to interact with him for Return of the Jedi?
No, but I've seen him on different panels with different Comic-Cons. And he has his wonderful book that he's got a couple of books. And we interact as in friends.
Gotcha.
Never really on the set of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, being the youngster of the group, I was not around when the original movies were made. So hearing stories from that time just makes the little nerd in me go nuts, because it's like, I only know stories from this, and I'm hearing it from someone who was there. So meeting you and talking with you has been a thrill. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. That's thrill is here that people 40 years later, 40 plus years later, are still, interested in the movie. I mean, we find that Eric and I with Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor, which are now 40 years later, and people are still excited over it. And it warms your heart. You did something that people like. And at the time, we're just doing a project, hoping that people like it and getting paid for doing something we like to do. But 40 years later is just like mind blowing.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I don't remember if we were, before we were recording or not, but I mentioned that this is the first show that my daughter has been able to watch with me and enjoy from beginning to end in sort of a similar way to me as an adult. And this is something that's kind of deepened that bond. It's made her enjoy Star Wars more. And so 40 years later, a project you're working on now is building those new fans as well. And that's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
you got to jump on what Patrick.
That's awesome, Patrick. That we hear, Kevin and I hear stories all the time, from the next the fathers, and then their kids, and pretty soon it's going to be the grandfathers and their grandkids.
Well, I get that with Jedi,
yeah. But it's like Kevin said, it warms your heart to realize that you played a part in someone's life, even if it for a moment made them forget where they are and they were able to, enjoy something. And it's, especially, in this world, times are tough, and we all want to be kids again. We all want to have those special memories. So, as Kevin said, we can't believe that we're talking to you about this 40 something years later, and people are still bringing it up. But it's
I knew back in '77 I'd still be talking about Star Wars when I was 57. Eric, tell us a little bit about the music you're working on and what's happening with that.
I just recently released an album for my wife called "For the Love of New," And I don't want to get into too much about this, but it's a bunch of sappy love songs that I've written over the years. And then there's some serious songs because she just recently got very sick, but she's better now, which is a good thing.
Good.
So
absolutely.
She's a miracle. So
yeah.
And then, go ahead.
No, go finish up.
I'm also working on a fourth album with ACM, who's like this character. His name's Alpha Centauri Man, and he sings and sounds like David Bowie. We have 3 albums out currently. A lot of those songs are centered on the Star Wars universe, like our latest single, Jedi Dance, which you could stream everywhere. And I have my show, All for Sci-Fi, which we'll be talking about Skeleton Crew and Silo this Saturday. So if it's we're at All for Sci-Fi on YouTube. It's at 3:00 Pacific time. So come on, listen to the show. It's fun. So.
Yeah, it's a fun show. I try to get in whenever I can. It's a little bit too early for me because I'm working Saturdays. But when I'm off, I try to tune in for sure. And of course, Kevin's book, My Journey to Endor, it's available on Amazon and anywhere
comics
else.
out too.
Oh, you got comics out? I didn't know that.
The new comics, the Ewoks, and then the third one is all about Caravan of Courage.
Ooh,
the Ewok comic.
I'm gonna have to look for those for sure.
Yes,
and that's Marvel.
There's 4 of them. This is one. And this is me on the cover.
Nice.
And this is me. This is Chukachak on the 2, and I have to go to the comic shop and pick up 3 and 4. And so
very cool. The Ewok comic books. I did not know about those.
Yeah,
I'm going to get those for sure.
The big to do on Caravan of Courage in the middle of the third one.
Okay,
Our
I didn't know that.
Our Ewok fan president, Phil Plunkett, was talking about that.
Oh, the biggest Ewok fan in the universe, that's for sure.
Yes.
Phil's great. I didn't know that. I saw something online, like the new Star Wars Insider did a thing about the 40th anniversary, but I need to pick that up.
Yeah.
There you go. You sold 2 right there, Kevin. Eric's getting one, and I'm
one
getting
of them
one.
done, right? Eric's getting one.
Yeah, I'm getting one, and Eric's getting one. There you go. Oh, Patrick's putting his hand up. He's getting one.
Well, I'm gonna do a quick plug for HalseyCon. HalseyCon is a convention that happens in Orlando. It's a fan-run, immersive entertainment convention. It started revolving around the Halcyon, which is now that defunct ship that I talk about too much, but it's expanding. And tickets go on sale in about 2 weeks. From when, actually, I think it's just a week from when this will air. So if you're interested, go check them out at halsey-con.com, and you can pick up tickets for the convention.
Eric.
Very fun. Eric.
Hey, Patrick, when is that convention?
It is in October. It's October 16th, 17th, 18th, and it's at the Hilton at the entrance to Orlando Universal Orlando.
Okay.
Good deal.
Next up,
what are we doing in October? Eric, what are you doing in October?
I'm nothing at the moment.
What do you got going on in October, Kevin? You got to sly there.
I'm wondering about his Comic-Con.
He's just joking.
I'm joking.
The fan-run one.
Pardon? You got guests coming, right?
Oh, to HalseyCon?
Yeah.
Well, so it's fan-run. So last year you had to be a panelist in order to, you had to be an attendee in order to be a panelist, which was really cool. It allowed a lot of people who were specialists in fields outside of a typical con participant to talk about something that they had maybe learned because of the Halcyon. Like, for example, I ran a panel on character building for beginners. So, like, if you're going to go to an immersive experience, whether it be Meow Wolf or, say, a 2-day LARP, and you need to create a character, here's a couple of, like, quick questions you can go through. I'm an engineer by trade. I learned all of this because I just love that type of entertainment. But there's some pretty cool stuff that's planned for this next year. It's expanding beyond the Halcyon and the Galactic Star Cruiser. I myself am writing a panel with an Oscar and Emmy winner, and
cool.
So it's a very interesting group of people who all fell in love with one thing and have one thing in common. But it happens to be Star Wars. So
yeah,
sounds good. That's fun.
Up next for Star Wars, starting in April, is Andor Season 2.
Nice.
Yes.
We're all excited about that. I hope to do a roundtable discussion with it, but I'm going to be in Tokyo when the first 2 episodes drop, so we'll have to figure out how to work that out. Anyways, Ken, sorry I'm not paying you overtime for this. Take it away.
No overtime, huh? We'll just see about that. If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us about your idea for a show and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. Don't forget to join us on YouTube, like us, and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a new show. All logos, songs, music, and sounds that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be owned by the Solo Show podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.